Losing to any mid laner sucks, but it would suck more depending on if they're your close friend or not. Bjergsen, I've known the guy since he first moved to LA, actually, before he was announced for TSM. In comes this new kid, right? And then the first 2 seasons, I'm pretty sure we stomped him. You know, I would hate losing to him, and thankfully, I didn't lose him very much.
Look at how frequently he's using
that aggressive. The flash, the ignite, the chain, and the kill from high. Big plays from high.
I have a long history of beating him in the beginning.
There's a TF ulti. Bjergsen's gonna get stunned. He's gonna get stunned again, and down he goes. Cloud9 finds the pick.
And then, you know, something changed, and now I've lost for a very long time against him, actually.
Teleport 2 on this one. He will only get one in the shockwave on the side of Bjergsen. They lock down high. Protobelt only hitting about 2 of the missiles. Evo play goes down, flash forward. Tides of blood washes high away.
For me to lose Bjergsen's always a sad time because I want to show that I can still compete with him, that I can still play versus him, and that I can still win against him.
Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us this Saturday afternoon for more North American League action. The standings are shaping up as we approach the halfway mark of the split, and no team wants to be left behind. And the fans are out here in force to cheer on their favorite teams as they make their climbs up the standings, looking towards that playoff picture and a possible opportunity for a world's berth. Here we have FlyQuest as well as TSM making their way into the arenas. Big matchup between the two of them today. Elimination with his tee in hand, looking very calm and collected. Aphromoo and the rest of CLG sporting those fancy purple jerseys. They had him on yesterday. I love the look. They're up against Niski in his debut along with Envy today. Hello everyone, I'm James Patterson. You might think your eyes are deceiving you, but no, they're not. It's true. I got both Mark Zimmerman and Isaac Zale Cummings-Bentley today on the desk. Gentlemen, what did I do to get so lucky and deserve both of you?
I don't know, man. I think they just kind of told us we had to be here. Yeah, didn't really have any say in it.
Don't do that to me. Don't tear me down like that. It's the beginning of the day, Azale.
Don't worry.
All right, let's go ahead and begin with a look at how the teams rank coming into the day. Immortals are currently in sole possession of first, while Team Dignitas will get their chance at climbing, or rather claiming the throne later in the day. And despite picking up their first win, Phoenix One still remain in 10th, but look to transfer last night's momentum into a mid-season climb. We'll see what teams can influence their fates with our matches today. We kick things off with TSM taking on FlyQuest on NALCS 1, then Cloud9 hit the Rift versus Team Liquid. If you're tuning in on NALCS 2, your day starts with Counterlogic Gaming taking on rookie Niski and Team Envy, followed by another battle for first as Team Dignitas aim to defeat Immortals. Now, last night, Immortals claimed first after a solid 2-0 victory over Counterlogic Gaming. Let's talk about that matchup a little bit because, again, talk of the town with the trade. This time, McSmithy getting the better of Dardoch in the matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I think Immortals looked incredibly good last night. Game 1 in particular, their vision control and how efficiently and how dominantly they closed out that game was extremely impressive.
Yeah, and even on Game 2 when they fell behind like a little bit early on, they showed that they can play from behind. They had really good rotations all over the map, and then they just blow their leads wide open. Like you said, as soon as they have a couple thousand gold lead, it feels like the games just end very quickly.
I mean, it's pretty insane to think that they were behind pretty heavily at the start of Game 2, and they closed that game out in like 28 minutes, something like that. Like, that is domination.
Yeah, it was very impressive to watch them play last night. Of course, their jobs don't get any easier today up against the other team that's kind of vying for that first place slot in Dignitas. What are the key factors of this matchup that we're looking at today?
I think the big one is the jungle matchup. It doesn't, go from Dardoch, aggressive early game player, into Shrimp, who's like probably the craziest early game jungler right now, just going for all these like 2-camp and gank attempts or early invades. So if Smithy can match up fine versus him and stop Dignitas from getting off the ground, that's the first area I'd probably look at for Immortals.
I'd also say the top lane is going to be very hotly contested. Somebody has been crushing it, and actually Flame has been really dominant himself without getting much help at all from Smithy. So I'm going to be very interested to see, the jungler's choices in affecting that lane. Does Smithy leave Flame to his own devices and try to have him win 1v1 against Someday, or even hold on 1v2 against Someday and Shrimp?
And now, while Immortals impressed yesterday, Phoenix One did as well. They found their first match victory of the split here in Week 4, and they're building on those improvements that they had kind of shown during Week 3 with Mike Young and Expresso being added to the roster.
I just love saying his name. It's the funnest name.
It is a very fun name to say, but let's talk about this kid because again, with his addition in Week 3, we saw gold leads being developed for this team while they couldn't necessarily close out the matches themselves. And then just last night, they're able to close it out against Equifox in 2-0 fashion.
He has been playing extremely well, looked good on the Nidalee. I think that they are helping him a lot in the early game with some of these really creative kind of like leashes and heavy leashes and stuff, but that's propelling him forward and allowing him to be successful in the game and enable some of the other teammates like Arrow. The P1 owner talked about the fact that Arrow was the MVP. They need to give him the pieces to kind of enable him, and with Xpecial and Mike Young, it seems like they're finally doing that.
Yeah, and I think touching on Xpecial a little bit, obviously Mike Young, the flashy early game player, really easy to talk about him, but Xpecial a little unheralded in that regard, where he's the one helping out with their late game, because this was a team that was struggling at all facets of the game, and now all of a sudden their bot lane looks stable, and you see now that all of a sudden Jin's back in the meta a little bit too, probably helping Arrow have his 2 best games of the split so far. Really nice to see him back in his form.
I mean, they got their first win yesterday, but they have a long road ahead of them in terms of moving themselves up the standings. Now, luckily for them, with that 3rd place finish, they've got a nice bank of championship points that if it comes to it, they most likely will be playing in the gauntlet later in the year. As always, per usual, every 2 weeks we're dealing with a new patch, and that's where I want to transition to now, 7.12. What are the key item changes, champion changes that we expect to see affecting pro play this week?
I mean, Mark touched on Jin, which had gotten some buffs, but I think, 2 more champions that I'm really looking at a lot is Corki. I think in the mid lane, it's incredibly strong, especially since even more of his damage is now AP. Like, this is just an AP mid laner that can match up very well against a plethora of different champions. And Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai was already getting picked before the buffs. Now it got a bunch of them. We're going to see this guy all the time.
We saw Rek'Sai last night. Successful early ganks, although didn't grab the victory there in Dardoch's hands. Let's talk about Locket as well and its new changes.
Yes, this is a big one that a lot of people are talking about, just that it added a percentage health to the shield. So the more health you have, the bigger your shield becomes. A lot of people are comboing with Gargoyle Stoneplate, so you pop that to get a massive health increase, then you pop the shield to cover up your whole team. It works fine with other items as well. Any health item, which is generally, there's a lot of them in the game right now that people are buying. And then it kind of, I thought it was going to push out Zeke's Convergence a little bit more, but I saw an interesting team comp in the Challenger Series where it was like the Jarvan, Galio, Gragas, just like super beefy frontline, and they built it. And it makes more sense in a comp like that, but you might still not see too much of Zeke's Convergence, which got reworked this patch as well.
I mean, specifically looking at this Corki pick, I've got to look towards that TSM FlyQuest matchup and say, hi, finding a lot of success on the Corki pick in spring now that it's back in the meta, for that kind of grudge match between the 2 mid laners there could be a very useful pick for him. Either way, there's a reminder that our tickets are going on sale for the summer finals in Boston. Pre-sale bundles go live Monday, June 26th, with the general sale going live Tuesday, June 27th. For more information on registering for the pre-sale and how you can get the best seats in the TD Garden, head on over to lulesports.com. Mark, you're from Boston, right? You going to be there?
I don't know. It's usually up to them, but am I allowed to go?
Well, if it's up to me, what I'm actually going to do is I think I'm just going to pass this off to the viewers and say, hey, you guys weigh in with the Twitter question of the day. Hashtag leave Mark, hashtag take Mark. Let us know, should he be making his way to the TD Garden with us in Boston?
Hey, what are you doing over there?
No, you got to
Is that you casting your vote over?
Yeah, no,
you know what? I should probably get mine in too. Hey, while we cast our votes for whether or not Mark should go to Boston, we're going to send it over the captions to get us into the games. Enjoy, guys.
Next dash! I'm Julian Pesci-Damkar, and this splendid tall to my right is Aiden Zareen Moon. Zareen, what's your vote?
I don't know. I'd probably leave Mark.
All right, well, we'll see what happens. We're gearing up for our first series as TSM takes on FlyQuest. And for FlyQuest, they're looking to break a funk that's been clouding them since halfway through the spring split.
Yeah, FlyQuest in their LCS regular season game record since week 5 of the spring split, they're 12-26, so a 30% win rate for the team since the beginning of spring or middle of spring there. But it's important to note that when playoffs came around, they did turn it on and they collected 8 wins from their 6th place seeding. But if they do want to have a chance at playoffs this split, they need things to come together now.
And it hasn't been completely smooth sailing for TSM either, but they are very close to claiming a spot back in the top of the standings.
Yeah, fans are worrying about TSM a little bit, but I feel like it might be unnecessary because if you look at their record, they're 4-2, but they lost to Team Dignitas and Immortals, 2 teams that are at the top of the standings, and they already beat CLG, the team that's above them right now, and that was tied for first coming into this week. So right now, TSM are 4-2 with 5 losses, so they actually have tied for least losses in terms of games in the whole league right now. So fans kind of getting a little bit ahead of themselves.
Certainly a very fun matchup as well. And for High, every game against Bjergsen adds to the long historical rivalry between the two of them.
Bjergsen, I've known the guy since he first moved to LA, actually. Before he was announced for TSM, I met him because I was hanging out with Reginald at the time, and that's when I first met him, and they were telling me about how Reginald's getting replaced by this guy. I'm like, wait, what? Reggie's getting replaced? Because I loved playing for Reggie. It was so much fun every single time. So then in comes this new kid, right? And then the first 2 seasons, I'm pretty sure we stomped them. I don't think I had a single death in one of the playoffs, and the other playoff, maybe a couple deaths. But we were doing really well, and I even got to, play team over him, and I won the game. So it's just like, I have a long history of beating him in the beginning, and then, something changed, and now I've lost for a very long time against him, actually. They beat us out in 2 finals following that, and then ever since then, I don't think I've beaten him in a best of 3 at all. So for me to lose Bjergsen's always a sad time, because I want to show that I can still compete with him, that I can still play versus him, and that I can still win against him.
Well, let's see if I can do that today. It is time to jump into the starting rosters. On the blue side, it's TSM. In the top lane, Haunter, jungle Svenskeren, mid lane of Bjergsen, bot Doublelift, support Biofrost, and Coach Path.
And of course, that means facing off against them on the red side, it'll be FlyQuest. In the top lane, Balls. Jungle will be Moon. High in the mid lane looking for that best of win versus Bjergsen. Wild Turtle in the bot with Lemonation support. And Thomas Thinkard Slotkins.
And it certainly is a very fun matchup here in a lot of different reasons. I mean, you talked about High and his history with Bjergsen, but I mean, of course, Turtle recently won a championship with TSM in the spring. So there's kind of a lot to play for here. And in general, TSM certainly been trending upward for FlyQuest. I mean, they have to look at every match saying, we can win this. It's just a matter of how they go about it. Because they have struggled, to me, to really get a cohesive game plan together in a lot of games, which was not true in the start of spring, despite how chaotic their playstyle was.
Yeah, in the start of spring, they came in with a little bit of a carefree attitude. People were kind of taking them not as seriously, and then Moon showed up, and High and Moon had this great synergy coming through. But now I feel like a synergy that needs to develop is this bottom lane of Wild Turtle and Elimination and get on track there, because the bottom lane has been giving up a lot of deaths. Wild Turtle right now, most deaths for an AD carry. He actually is the only AD carry who has more deaths than kills, and Elimination has actually yet to play a melee support this split. So he's a little bit behind in the playmaking times, but they're kind of looking for High and Moon to make those plays. So I'm wondering if they're going to adhere to the meta a little bit more as the weeks develop, or if FlyQuest are going to stick to their guns, because that's how it's always been for Elimination, right? He's always been a meta breaker in a way. Back when Ashe and Zyra weren't really played, was one of the first people to play that combo. Even when Karma wasn't a support, he was one of the first people to bring that out too.
I mean, look, patch change here in 7-12. Maybe there is a change here on the horizon for the team, but we're pretty into the draft now for TSM FlyQuest. LeBlanc, Orianna, and Gragas all banned out there for TSM, and Caitlyn, Galio, and Zac, the FlyQuest band. So a lot of different champions being pretty keenly targeted.
Yeah, it's interesting as well because the Lee Sin being picked up, Rek'Sai still on the table. They're just taking that away from Moon, but I feel like it's just because it's Svenskeren's best champion right now. Fans are always saying, teams are losing against TSM because they keep giving them Lee Sin. Well, they're picking up first pick here, kind of reinforcing that this is the pick for the team.
Well, already some changes here for FlyQuest, though. Tahm Kench and Jhin are actually the first 2 picks, so Jhin continuing to meteorically rise back up in the pick order for ADs. I mean, only one banned on Caitlyn, everything else was up, and the first overall pick for Fly is this AD.
Yeah, I actually really think Jhin is strong. People have figured out, Youmuu's Ghostblade into Infinity Edge or just Infinity Edge and start going towards the rest of your build, but he actually does do very well with the Energizer build, and with a Tahm Kench next to him, that's going to help Wild Turtle in that safety department, and this is the first time that we've seen Elimination on a melee support this split.
Yep, on for the Tahm there, as Syndra is picked up for Bjergsen and TSM. Pretty safe blind pick there for him.
Yeah, I'm looking at the bans against TSM. They receive 71% Syndra bans. So Syndra is the most banned champion against TSM, and it made it through today. And they picked it up knowing that they can see, FlyQuest will be able to see what the mid lane is and have a good matchup for High.
Yeah, it feels like it blocks off kind of a number of picks High might want to take, and of course it's a very safe pick for him. Braum is the other champion TSM have picked up to finish phase 1, and there's Rumble actually for Balls, so a lot of comfort there on that pick in particular for them, but it is also fun to see, again, a lot of more meta changes. Braum, to me, haven't quite figured out why he's emerged back in the meta, but a lot of players are picking him up again.
Yeah, a lot of people were attributing the whole Doran's shield changes to it, but Doran's shield got nerfed a little bit here, so it's not as good because you don't have 2 potions at the start. But I feel like Braum, just in general, people said, oh, somebody who can make plays, prevent plays, has a good level 1, and has kill potential in the laning phase. So this is another champion that's built for protection. They can get Doublelift a hyper carry if they want to. But the interesting thing here for me is FlyQuest now have an AP top laner with the Rumble, so they can run an AD mid like a Zed, or even the Lucian that just got banned out.
Yeah, Lucian banned. Talon also another big pick for high, so that's available. But Renekton and Fiora are going to get banned away from Haunter, so some of the more deadly and aggressive top laners getting taken out here. And there's the Zed ban. Good read by TSM.
Yeah, banning away the Zed. It was something that got banned against FlyQuest last week, and it was kind of that head scratcher of we haven't seen him play it yet. But this is going to be interesting because also we don't know what's going to be played in that Rumble, but you can play Jarvan, you can play Camille. Kennen is up right now for Hanser as well.
Well, also a Jarvan pickup here, so a lot of things being mixed up already. I mean, I'm pretty sure High has played a mid-Jarvan game within the last year. So there is possibility there. I mean, Rumble can jungle. There's a lot of different flexibility here.
Jarvan can jungle as well. Jarvan right now in solo queue, 52% win rate jungler, so it's not bad in the jungle. And we've seen Moon pull things out like Kindred, etc. That I think can really work out for him here. But with Rek'Sai on the table, it is a little bit of both. Head scratcher.
That's actually Tristana picked up for double. Another champion that's kind of rising back up into the bot lane.
Yeah, people are going, oh, Static Shiv is incredibly good. It clears out caster minions when you crit it. Why not just go with a crit build? And that would be so good in this competition. You can keep her safe with the fact that she has her own way of like jumping away and keeping herself peeled. And then you have the Braum on top of it just to make it even harder to kill the Tristana.
Well, Bifrost having some fun. The last pick, though, is Shen. That'll be Haunter's champion in the top lane. So we'll have to see how FlyQuest wants to finish off this draft. And maybe more importantly, just exactly where all these champions are going.
But I like this because FlyQuest, you know, they're kind of sticking to their guns and playing a lot of meta things or old meta things with like the lack of a range support. But now it seemed like they've made a lot of adjustments. Where is this Jarvan going? Where's this Rumble going? It's going to be a Rumble top, Corki mid. Like we were saying in 7-12, Corki got some buffs, got shifted towards magic damage. It looks like it's Jarvan jungle here.
Yep, so High, understandably, he's going to be playing Corki here. I thought he might stray away from it with the Syndra, but High feeling confident.
Well, one of the things I like about Corki mid is they take exhaust typically. So they can run double exhaust in this composition up against Bjergsen's Syndra. So the Corki can stand a good chance. Hexdrinker early on after a Trinity Force could be a good buy for him. But the changes to Corki were he got a base AD increase, which means he gets a little more damage out of Trinity Force. He got an attack speed increase, which means buying Static Shiv and Rapid Fire Cannon is even better on him. But then also his passive that made it a 50-50 split in Magic Physical is now 80% Magic, 20% Physical. So that means Sork Shoes is even better. Void Staff is even better because he's doing a larger majority of his damage is magic damage now.
Yeah, just really is kind of a magic damage champion. He was considered that in a lot of ways when he was being played in the mid lane, but now really fitting that identity. So certainly, again, this new patch may have heralded some new life for FlyQuest and at least their draft phase. Very excited to see Jarvan jungle here for Moon, and we expected he to be the one to bust out Corki, and he has not disappointed us here in game number 1.
Not at all. And looking at it, FlyQuest, High is actually going to take Teleport here to possibly go for a 1-3-1, so no double exhaust here for the Corki mid.
I think understanding that, you know what, this lane's probably going to be a bit rough, does help you get through the laning phase as well. So kind of fun to see how that all shakes out. I wonder if a lack of friends is going to cost him, but we'll have to think about that later, because we have a game 2 start the crowd. It's been awfully great so far. We'll see what happens as we get onto the Rift for game 1. TSM versus FlyQuest.
Like you said, a lot of rivalries here on the Rift. Wild Turtle versus Double Lift. Bjergsen versus High. We got some classics.
Certainly do. In fact, TSM might be stacking together as 4. Makes a lot of sense with that level 1 of Braum that you mentioned.
Exactly.
So might have been spot High here hiding in the brush.
If they hug the wall, this is kind of what happened at MSI.
He got tagged. No clashing in, but Valkyrie forced to be taken and used.
Exactly. Valkyrie level 1 will stop his shoving power. He will have some auto attacks onto Bjergsen, but the difference between actually going for the auto attacks versus the Q onto the minion wave from the Syndra is big. So she'll have the shoving power.
Nice trade there from Haunter. Actually, now going back in onto balls, but Moon is going to complete his recall. Did have to use some potion. Thankfully, it is a refill, so doesn't lose any efficiency there.
Yeah, so what happened in that level 1 is TSM get a lot of information. They get wards down on the blue buff and on the Raptor camp, so they'll have a pretty high chance of seeing where Moon actually starts here, whether it's the Raptors. But if he starts red buff, they actually won't know unless it's based off of the leash.
Well, Turtle just sticking around. See if he can't get a little bit of vision. Looks like a red start loop for Svenskaren. Duolan's going to help out there. And Moon, we can see still around that red buff area.
Yeah, so he won't be spotted out here unless Hanser goes for an invade. Hanser sees no balls come back, or they'll know when the bottom lane shows because they didn't leash.
Well, you can to Moon and Balls. Going to team up here for this first buff. Moon is going to smite this by the looks of things, so nothing super crazy coming out, just very standard leashes here.
Yeah.
Haunter though runs into Balls, and he's going to get some really good trade damage down. So Haunter kind of abusing all the information he had and just staying for a bit of extra damage.
Yep, got those 4 auto attacks off on him, and Moon just clears out the...
oh my.
Looks like he went for level 2. Didn't go for Raptors there, but looking for a mid lane gank. But he was spotted by the ward. The ward timed out a little bit later.
Yeah, Bjergsen playing on the correct side here. Only level 1 though, flash. Oh, not going to quite connect as the knockback does come out. Bjergsen though still has his flash. He's going to ghost away as high. Looks to get aggressive. They're really trying to take him down, but Bjergsen holds on to his second summoner spell.
Yeah, just uses the ghost there. High didn't hit level 2 yet.
Oh no!
Red scary!
Ren though knocked up, and now Elimination's roamed up. Going for us to the right.
Turtle!
Save him, Turtle. Looks to try and get the damage down. Heal by double. It's going to save him as Turtle gets stunned.
And you can see just the difference in the shoving power means a lot there. Double Lift already level 2, Wild Turtle no level 2 there for a Deadly Flourish, and it's those types of differences. Bjergsen hit 2, so he had Scatter the Weak and was able to knock back the Jarvan a little bit, whereas High wasn't level 2 before that gank came through.
Great rooms by both supports as well, and we have a lot of action already. FlyQuest, I like that they're trying something a little different, but they used a lot of resources and got nothing of it.
Yeah, and Svenskeren was rather aggressive there. He did, I believe, take away the blue buff, so that didn't go over to Moon. And was able to get out of the jungle with it too. So that was what cost his flash.
Yep. Risky invade, but pays off there as TSM collapsed to save their jungle up. Bjergsen's back, then took a pair of boots, wanting to dodge the next sequence of ganks that might come through. And now on the actual 2v2, now that everyone's staying in their lanes for a little while longer, like you said, some early shove power there for Double Lifts, treating him to a very early and very slight zero.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference here is going to be the jungle, because Jarvan is actually quite far behind. He picked up his jungle item after, or second part of his jungle item after backing, but he hasn't cleared any of his camps except his buffs. And we all know the buffs have those longer respawn timers, but these camps mean Svenskeren is a level and a half up, and Moon still has to...
Oh, great stun. The Q misses though for Sven. Still going to get the slowdown onto High, who is forced to flash.
Yeah, didn't hit that Q, and that may have been the big difference there. But they do get the flash out. So Svenskeren actually able to apply some mid-pressure here, because Moon pretty much has no pressure until he clears his camps. You want to clear them so they come up again and have those extra levels on them, so you get more experience. And that's where Svenskeren is now, is at the point where his Raptors will be coming up shortly. He'll be able to clear that out, and you'll be pretty close to level 5 after just a few more camps here.
Yeah, and while it might not look like a huge lead at the moment, you can see that kind of all bear out. Svenskeren kind of goes back to farming his jungle. Moon sitting mid once again, but this lane is pushing towards the turret.
It's pushing. If he's not getting the Raptors here or getting something off on Bjergsen, then it's kind of a misplay, because his Gromp hasn't been killed, his Raptors haven't been killed, his Wolves haven't been killed, and his Krugs haven't been killed. He's very far behind right now.
Yeah, Moon maybe spending a little too much time trying to gank actually bottom lane again. Maybe looking for something here.
Yep. Deadly Flourish comes through and they get the flash on Bio.
Tries to get out of the way. Elimination hungry, but no food just yet. Double able to get out. Biofrost did have to burn the flash there, so Moon is finally going to return back to the jungle and start farming, but Sven, like you said, is power clearing all the small camps that are respawned. He's level 4 to 3 right now, and could be an even bigger experience lead, depending on what Sven chooses to do.
Yeah, there is a mechanic in the jungle that's comeback experience. So if you're lower than the average level in the game, which if you look at Moon, he's level 3, everybody else on his team is 4 or higher. Everybody else in the game is 4 or higher. So he'll actually get more experience off the camps than normal because of the fact that he's behind the average level of the game. It's kind of this comeback. There's a comeback mechanic that when I first experienced it, I was getting invaded over and over and over again. I was actually level 1 to level 4, and then I killed 2 camps and I was level 3, and I was like, wait a second. And I was just back in the game, 1 level behind the guy. And I was like, this is actually dumb. How are you catching up so fast?
See if Moon catches up quite that quickly, as Haunter did take a bit of a beating there from Balls to TP back to lane with boots and a cloth armor, I believe joining the Doran shield that he started with. Looks like Haunter's going to do the same. He's got a Spectre's Calmo though, and this is usually where Shen starts to tip the balance in a lot of these matchups. And while we haven't seen too much of the top lane just yet, Haunter looking good just now. And Rumble did get a pretty big suite of changes as well. And I think people are still playing the champion, but it's hard to say exactly what the nerfs did.
Yeah, the
changes did, because he kind of got buffed as well.
Exactly. It's an AP ratio buff to his Q, but his Q has a 10-second instead of 6-second cooldown, but its overall DPS increased level 1, but you can't overheat with just using it. So your level 1 is weaker unless you're overheating, right? It's like, it's this weird kind of back and forth, but you can't overheat. So anyway, the Rumble changes means that later on, he's actually a little bit stronger because he has a better AP ratio on his Q. His W has a stronger shield on it, slightly lower duration by 0.5 seconds. And his E also just got a damage increase. So late game Rumble is better, but his lane phase took a slight hit.
Well, Elimination getting forced out and does burn the flash over the wall. Wild Turtle destroys the blast cone, not wanting anyone to sneak into this bottom half. I guess kind of realizing that the lane is pushing in. Doublelift and Bifrost having a pretty nice lead in the lane so far, wanting to play back a little more defensively, and looks like Bifrost looking to recall himself, gets tagged by Elimination's tongue. The Doublelift now going to go back himself. Yeah, again, tongue's going to cancel it.
Yeah, going to cancel it. Wild Turtle actually with a CS lead for himself here in the bottom side.
Elimination under fire. Bifrost and Doublelift doing a nice job getting those combos down. A lot of early power between Braum and Tristana. Bio kind of eats a few too many auto attacks in that trade.
Yeah, but it does mean that because you have the Jhin who's low mobility and then you have the Tahm Kench, Tristana can never really punish the positioning of the Jhin and jump forward, or the Braum can't W to a minion and start trying to stun the Jhin because he just gets eaten up there.
A risk perhaps by Svenskeren, but Bifrost is going to move over to try and protect him. Blue buff attempt number 2. Svenskeren looking to steal it away, and much safer this time around, does cleanly take it.
Yeah, FlyQuest do see this though because of that ward that's off there on the side. They actually see Svenskeren right now as well, looking for a possible dive because he's level 6, and they're bringing Bjergsen down too. But Wild Turtle gets the back off, goes for Yombu's Ghostblade parts. He's going to try to run back down here to lane as they call off the dive too.
Yep, Sven just decides instead he'll take the Grunt. Berg goes back to lane and looks to push that out, and Moon trying to steal away some cans, but not a lot for him to take.
Yeah, but watch what Hanser does here. Hanser's actually going to check this area because he says, all right, I know that there's no other possibility except for Moon to be on the side, and catches him out so he can't take the Gromp.
I mean, Moon's level 5 as well. Hanser is 7, so not really a fight that Moon can afford to pick up, and still no ultimate available for the FlyQuest jungler. So Moon has had a lot of early attempts trying to get aggressive in these lanes, but nothing has worked so far.
And right now, TSM are saying they want to take your blue, so Hanser will ward it up, or like at least hang around that area because he didn't have the ward at the time. Balls will try to shove, and now Svenskeren's backed, purchased, making sure that he's a little bit stronger, and Hanser will try to fight here a bit to try and force balls out, so they can't go for a blue at all.
Yeah, once they're pressuring, Bjergsen shoves out his lane, and Svenskeren is there to make sure that donation happens. So many blue buffs actually denied away. I believe every single blue has been taken from FlyQuest early on in this game, and now Bjergsen is going to go to the mid lane with a Syndra that already has Lost Chapter, getting an early summoner advantage, and things going to go from bad to worse here.
Yeah. Phage as well for high, so he'll have a little bit of survivability in this lane alongside the Null Magic Mantle. It isn't the worst of times for Corki either. Also, an interesting thing to note as well for the Corki is that he went for Warlord's Bloodlust, and it used to be that Corki would take Thunderlords, you'd use the E, and you'd be able to get the Gatling gun shots on people, and it would just add up. But people have moved a little bit more towards this, where it gives you the sustain in lane, survivability, and the movement speed burst to chase people down. And when you're going for Energizer builds, like a Static Shiv and a Rapid Fire Cannon, that'll help charge it up faster, and add an IE on top. When you heal off of the AD that you're doing, or the AD inventory, then it's just a really good pickup where you're critting and getting like 300 plus HP late game.
Well, I like this a lot from FlyQuest, trying to get aggressive with the package there. Moon also level 6, so pretty full screen initiation ready to go here. And FlyQuest are standing firm in this 2v2, going to force them off this control ward and get vision on the right-hand side of mid, but package times out high. Can only burn down the wave. Yeah,
it doesn't get much of the wave either. There's a hesitancy to actually walk up and then use it to go backwards.
I feel like sometimes Corgi players just like run out of patience. Like, it's running out, I'll just use it. Yeah. It looks pretty. But first package not super successful there for High. Chunk there from Bjergsen, but High threatening with those missiles. Bjergsen just going to go ahead and leave, and looks like he's trying to get a bit of vision for himself. Maybe even go topside as Hornslight getting shoved back in by balls, with Bjergsen does indeed find that control ward, and will be able to take that out.
Takes out, throws some balls on the ground at the same time. Just in case somebody were to come out of the bush, he'd have something set up for them.
Now actually another play set up in bottom lane here. Svenskeren and Bifrost ready with their ultimates. Might even be trying the long con, invading in, maybe looking for a dive.
Yeah.
Or just try and find Moon.
They don't see him though with that, and now they see him with the ward. So covering all the areas and camps with both the Scryer's Bloom and the ward. See Moon.
It's been a very patient start to this game as well. I mean, after the early level 2 gank from Moon and the subsequent attempts he made in different lanes, kind of all of that action so far. TSM happy to play a more control game, but FlyQuest are not.
TSM, go.
This is the river. Big flank balls with a good CP. The kick on the Moon is Sven. He's going to flash towards him. Bifrost are caught out. He's going to burn down. First blood goes to Lemon as Sven assassinates Moon, but he's going to go down as well. Kill over the balls Great flank from FlyQuest.
Yeah, that was a great flank, like you said. The teleport from Balls and the Abyssal Voyage from Lemonation. And then Moon just barely able to get out of there, which means that the Shen is not in a great position when he's delivered because Svenskeren chases, and Svenskeren eventually takes the Q in to finally finish off a kill and get something back. But it's 2 for 1 in favor of FlyQuest, but they're still down in gold right now because of the CS differences in lane.
All right.
And yeah, TP comes through as Moon goes in, and then the Abyssal Voyage from Elimination. So they're cut off from like all angles. That's a good equalizer to stop them from running away from the incoming members. But that right there, that was interesting from Moon, because you saw him actually hop up a little bit. It looked like he tried to Cataclysm right there, but he died at like the same frame. So might have actually bugged out his timer too, because you can see it's not showing us.
Interesting. Well, we'll find out in a second, but turn into normalcy now after that play. Jungler's dying means that Drake, not really an objective teams wanted to contest, so it looks like everyone's just gone back and spent some of their money. Bjergsen with a Morello Nomicon all finished. High's got 2 of 3 Trinity Force components ready to go. And Yomid is actually done for total also. Ball's timing that Haunting guy. So double lift could be a Zeal next, moving into more of that static shift if you just want to sit on these AD components, or you can go for Infinity Edge and kind of do the more standard AD build. But he is going to need a little bit more time to start scaling up, and Turtle pretty much ready to go right now. Things could get better here for Jin. Yeah,
I love this Jin build because it has a lot of AD behind it immediately, and the lethality actually goes a long way later in the game against all these squishies who will never buy any pieces of armor like the Tristana. So you go ahead and you just buy the Omu's Ghostblade, then you start moving towards Infinity Edge, Rapid Fire Cannon, so you have extra range.
Looks like the FlyQuest solution to high struggles in mid lane are to move him to the bot lane.
Yeah.
Does have TP, although it's not up right now, but pretty happy just 1v2 clearing out the waves, and Bjergsen is going to struggle in any sort of 1v2 this early on. So we'll see if TSM want to match this swap as well. But Turtle, happy to play Seed Master here in mid lane.
Yeah, Bjergsen will actually be okay if they set this up correctly, because he has the Morello Nomicon, and they have a blue buff coming up shortly. But they don't have enough members on the top side to actually contest a blue, so it could be FlyQuests for the taking, because they have 2 members on the bottom side of TSM, where it's only 1 from Fly. But they don't set it up. It looks like Moon's just going for it back, and it will be what I assume a Warrior into Black Cleaver build for the Dark.
Darker out there for High, actually got tagged by Bifrost. No elimination coming down, bringing Turtle with him. Now 3v3, his defense also arrived, but Bifrost, good ultimate, will disengage.
Yeah, elimination. So far, the Abyssal Voyages, frequent. That's what I like to see from Tom Kench players, is they're at least looking for the Abyssal Voyages and throwing them out. So we've seen 2 so far. He's only level 7. So I like seeing that. A lot of Tom Kenches that just hold on to that ability forever and don't make those plays. So that's a point plus for elimination there, because he's kind of been passive lately.
He has. I mean, a lot of good cross-map really available for FlyQuest. It's nice to see them again going back to more what they used to, just starting fights so frequently that even if they lost a few or traded more evenly, at some point you had to give away to the pressure. And sometimes, yes, that was FlyQuest as well. They also caved to their own aggression, but more often than not, they would get it right. High tries to get himself out of the way. Bifrost looking to tag him up at elimination there with the save. Tom Kench is a fun killer, man.
Oh, looking for a kill on Haunter here.
Solo kill here for Balls. Grass does proc for Haunter, but Balls still chasing him down. Overheated, forcing the taunt away. Actually flash burned as well.
Yeah, gets the flash out of him, throws down the equalizer. So with that, Leandres ends up doing a lot of damage. Even though it is a Spectre's Cal and a Dorage Shield, that's if you're getting like Deathfire touch checks. Hold on, those sniping Bjergsen.
Oh, Bjergsen tries to flash out. Moon does get stunned before he can Cataclysm away, but a great deadly flourish from Moon. Looking to complete the dunk. Bjergsen, though, ghosting away to safety.
Yeah, Moon actually had the ultimate there, but didn't have the vision. Bjergsen ducked away right into the bush right on time, because if he buffers that, you can't be disabled during the Cataclysm cast, and it would have stopped the Scatter the Weak stun.
Well, all the attempts on the lives of TSM don't quite go right for FlyQuest, and instead TSM collect the Drake for themselves. Haunter going to TP back to that top lane after taking a massive amount of damage from Balls, and might feel a bit safer now with that Charm Fist for a bit of extra health. Also has a backup Ruby Crystal, but Haunter is definitely kind of piecing together that first major item, setting himself up for this laner. Balls is already ready to fight, goes back, gets Ninja Tab and that next TP from Balls. The first song was pretty good. He's got it back now, and maybe even more impactful in the next fight.
Yeah, and it's that Titanic Hydra coming through for Haunter as the first item after the magic resist. See, once he starts clearing the waves, because he wants to kind of be almost a non-interactive lane for a little bit, and then he'll have an ability to deal a lot of damage to Balls while not taking as much himself once he completes a few magic resist items. feel like you go for 2 magic resist items this game, maybe one of them being Gargoyle Stoneplate, because High is really just heavy on magic damage as this core key.
Well, High looking for another play with the package where it goes over to the Drake pit.
It's a rotational play.
It is. Back down the bottom lane here. TSM, though, have matched that early rotation from FlyQuest, so it's 4 people in the mid lane just battling 2v2. And with that early Mountain Drake for TSM, they might be able to get an edge.
They're going for Bjergsen.
Out of the way. No, wants the Bjergsen. It's actually a double play. Good stun, though, from Bjerg. He's going to buy time for Haunted and Stanton out. And NCP is also coming out. But that's for Fly to reinforce the balls. Now Bjergsen cataclysmed up, does get the ulti out of the High, but he doesn't quite get the kill as he gets eaten by a Lemon. Now Bifrost getting chased, but Sven tries to get it as Haunted does secure the kill. Back on a High, Bifrost, sorry, Double is fighting away. Looking for balls and Totem, but the exhaust does come out. Now Moon looking to weave his way back. Sven Skaren picks up the kill. Such a chaotic fight as Total forced to blast out of the way. That's on. Misses for Hansa. Now looking in onto balls, but I think TSM should have enough to clean this up. Fly started it all, but TSM are going to end it. Total forced to Sven. Tag onto Elimination. Double is going to move through as Sven makes such a massive impact in that fight.
And that looked like it was going to go FlyQuest's way. It ends up being a 4v5 because they pick off Bjergsen, but TSM come up with 4 members and only lose Bjerger.
That was a very strange fight on 2 different fronts with everybody joining the party. Bjerg gets picked off early, and I have no idea how Sven did so much work with Haunter there, but
yeah,
cleaned up the fight certainly.
So they're fighting on the right side here, and this is key because what happens is Balls comes in and has Equalizer. He wants to throw down an Equalizer in a good spot, only gets it on a Biofrost. It's not sectioning off Double Lift or anything like that, and he's not helping out on the right side of the fight either. So we'll look for that here, whereas they get Bjergsen, they section him off. The Devour is not necessary in that moment, and they throw it out, and Hanser gets the kill with the Titanic Hydra, whereas Sven Skaren and Hanser are now fighting a jungler who's behind and a support, and they are able to pick up Moon there. Because Sven Skaren, man, he's landing a lot of those Qs now in this mid game.
Oh, needs to stun and a Q. Bjergsen, one more Q. Excellent solo kill. He's Syndra. Oh boy, there's a reason it's always banned.
Yeah, and I like what he did there because he didn't go for the Scatter of the Weak stun initially. He ended up popping Ghost so he can move around a little bit faster and close in. Then he goes for the catch up, throws down the ultimate, has all these balls on the ground, and then goes for the Scatter of the Weak and the Q.
All right, well, Chaos continues here. Bjergsen going to keep pushing top side, but FlyQuest batter down the mid lane with their 2 marksmen and a Tahm-Kench. Moon even going to join the party. Well, actually going aggressive on the Double Lift. Now the Jhin ulti. No, first tag's not good. Second does hit. Double Lift needs to dodge this last one. Does do so. I'm not sure it was enough to kill him anyway.
Yeah, no Deathfire touch anymore for Jhin, so you don't see that big burst damage or the burn down afterwards. Oh, we'll see what happens when he ends up getting Infinity Edge. He's at 1,200 gold right now on Wild Turtle, who's been doing pretty well himself this game. He was good in CS up until a bit ago. TSM picked up so much off of that fight, especially like you were saying, Sven Skaren in the jungle.
Yeah, 3-1-1. Actually, it's a Black Cleaver now completed alongside his Warrior and Shan. Working on the roof tile here as Bifrost going to join in to finish it off. Sven, though, has to book it out of the way. Smites.
It's not going to open the eye again because it's below 2k. You have to get the Smite.
Smite fight! Oh, goes to Moon and Sven jumps in. Doesn't quite get out as he flashes the wall to try and save himself. Kicked one out. There was Baron also spawning. Could get the knockup.
Oh, looking for Sven Skaren.
Good route there for Sven. Total going to keep trying to chase it down, but the rest of TSM are chasing down the rest of FlyQuest. So Sven Skaren is going to have to try and dodge out of the way as High. He's going to get tagged. Good eat there from Lemon. A great double knockup by Bifrost. The ultimate follows out. Good ult there returning from Balls as Moon does take down Sven finally in the top half, and ulti from Bjergsen is going to secure the kill, and Haunter managed to take down Moon.
Yeah, they were chasing Sven Skaren for so long. He gets a Shen ultimate.
Oh no.
And now it scales off of how much missing HP the person has, so he got this gigantic shield, and Moon couldn't kill him in time. Wild Turtle wasn't really helping too much anymore, and that was just a trail off. You can't go chasing those kind of kills off on the side forever, and FlyQuest fall prey to that.
Well, but you're wondering just how much action there is in this game. During the last replay round, we had another replay run after this where more kills happen, and there's still so much action, we can't run the replay. So, I mean, it's been a really chaotic game there. 13 kills already, and this is the pace that I think FlyQuest are used to, is watch this fight again.
Yeah, so Skaren gets rooted on the top side, and then Wild Turtle, a big damage source for the team, runs after and chases him, and he'll get ultied, but only Moon is on him. Turtle goes off to the right to check there. And yeah, gets a big shield so he doesn't die to the dunk, and Moon just doesn't have the damage anymore, and he gets picked up as a counter kill. And Wild Turtle got to do no damage in that fight afterwards because he was just chasing and looking at the options, trying to cut off Sven Skaren. But it was good by TSM to realize, all right, it's 4v3 or 3v3 in this part of the map, and we have more gold on these carries.
And it's one of the toughest things, I think, playing a team like TSM, because if you want to play fast, they will play with you. High going back in, but a double tag from Bifrost almost stuns 2 members of FlyQuest. Haunter does complete the TP in towards the Drake pit, and it's back up. So TSM looking to force another fight. Drake already started.
Yeah, Ball's no teleport right now, but he will have TP advantage for a bit afterwards. We'll see as he clears out that wave.
Meanwhile, Doublelift now with 2 items.
They used Rift Barrel.
Has spawned. Doublelift's like, yep, I'm going to go shoot this.
Pay attention to me.
Busy chasing down the monster. Oh, and that's not going to be a lot of damage at all.
Yep, because he got to hit it in the eye twice, took away a lot of it, and it does percent of its HP to turrets, so ends up not really doing much there.
And then Doublelift again. Walking back in, dodges the stun from Turtle, and looks like TSM are trying to seize down that last outer turret. 2-1 up in turrets for the squad right now. Have a few kills ahead of FlyQuest also, and maybe most importantly, 3,500 gold up. So all of that chaos, all of the things that FlyQuest have tried to do have backfired here and there. TSM's responses have been very good, and as a result, they've kind of built themselves up a nice lead, particularly holding again in that jungle position. But top half of the map total there for TSM's looking real good.
Yeah, it's looking really good for TSM right now. Everybody has a whole bunch of gold over their opponent. Nobody is really behind in a one-on-one. And as a split-pushing team, or a team that wants to kind of 1-3-1 a bit and then group up and team fight as FlyQuest, because they have double teleport, but then they also have this Jarvan plus Rumble combo that can be devastating if flashes are down. You definitely want to have that gold advantage. So, like that.
Oh, good package there. Haunter going to answer on the other side. Ultimate almost takes down High. And now Bifrost and Svenskeren are already here. Balls gets tag Sven. Going behind, kicks in for the execution exhaust. Down and off the walls as Doublelift jumps on the stun lands and Bjergsen gets a kill. Again, TSM's responses are just too good.
Yeah, it's too fast for FlyQuest to react to. The Shen is helping out, and then the rotations here, everybody in sync. And this is going to be a Baron startup here. Moon in the area, though.
He's around, but blind.
Yeah, they're trying to get him some vision here. Elimination, walking up, puts down some wards for that time that he can see.
Yep, again,
Bjergsen again trying to scatter the weak here.
Oh, well, Turtle actually is getting some shots in. They're stopping some DPS on the Baron. Moon doesn't quite make it. He's flushed into the pit. He has to go in blind. Doublelift takes him down. Baron secured by TSM.
Yeah, and TSM stopped DPS at about 2,500 and said, all right, we're waiting for this, because they're able to have some members fight outside the pit and interrupt Turtle's ultimate and make sure that they aren't doing some extra damage to that Baron.
And again, it might look silly for Moon to just go in and die, but he has no vision. He has to try and make a play, and it all started by this attempt on Bjergsen's life.
Yeah, High jumps in, but then immediately Bjergsen, who's up a level right now, just throws out the ultimate, almost kills High on entry, and then Svenskeren walks up, gives him the kick, then takes the Q to balls. Svenskeren, this first pick Lee Sin, is working wonders for him right now. The guy, 4, 2, and 4, highest skill participation on the team, actually right next to Haunter, who's one up on him with that Shen ultimate. So yeah, they're both doing great right now. Top half of the map, like you said, definitely clicking right now for TSM.
Certainly are, and now turrets are just getting destroyed. TSM plow through 2 there in the mid lane. They've got the Mountain Drake and the Baron buff for 2.5 minutes longer, and it's just standard rotations right now. Haunts has prepped this bottom side wave already, so turret number 5 is going to fall in a significantly less time than it took to take 2.
Yep. And now this gold advantage for them. 9,000 up for Team SoloMid, and FlyQuest kind of flailing about right now. They had those early skirmishes, but the skirmishes, they're not even playing the skirmishes correctly, and that's what's getting them right now.
I mean, that's, I think, has to feel bad when you're kind of getting out FlyQuested by the other team in some ways. I mean, FlyQuest are starting a lot of these fights, but it feels like teams just kind of learned how that style works and were able to react well and just respond as a team. And when FlyQuest don't catch you off guard, it does feel like their execution is sometimes lacking, and it's going to cost you in spots. If you go for it all with high-risk team fights, it's going to cost you all when you lose them.
Oh yeah, for sure. And look at this Moon.
All right, once again, good combo. Great off from Ball for the stuns. Landing off the Moon as he falls down. Turret low, but they're ignoring it as there's the double kill in for Bjergsen. That's 2 as double flashes forward, trying to take a few more out. The inhibitor's now exposed, and Turtle going to try and fend them off with the Jin ult, but Bifrost ready with the shield. Inhibitor falls down, Haunter gets tagged a few more, but Bifrost just going to exit stage left.
And they just don't have enough gold on their side for FlyQuest right now. Ball's sitting on 1.5 items right now. Doesn't have something like the Sorcerer's Shoes to have more magic penetration, went for the Tabai, and doesn't even have Zhonya's Hourglass. So he's 2,000 gold down behind Haunter, 2,700. And basically that combo looked like it would be good, but it wasn't. There's not enough damage.
All right, well, 7 turrets now for TSM. That'll be quite the Baron power players. They're more than 10,000 gold ahead, but FlyQuest, again, they have to try something, but they're so far behind here.
And this looked like, Doublelift and Bjergsen both got pushed out instead of kept inside. So, flash there from Bjergsen as well. It's pretty much just over after that combo, because that was a combo that you go, that's the money right there. That's where we get back in this game as FlyQuest. but they're just too far behind at this point.
Yep, and it does feel like, again, if the goal is closer, if you're ahead, that fight looks so much better, but FlyQuest just play to get such a big lead as early on as possible. I mean, it all started with Moon's initial visit to that mid lane at level 2, and it's kind of all gone wrong from there.
Yeah, he was spotted, I believe, by the little remaining duration on the Raptor pit ward, and Bjergsen was playing to the bottom side because he knew that the jungler was on the top side, so just positioned himself standard in the mid lane and made sure the level 2 didn't come through, which is one of the strengths of Jarvan, is that level 2 gank. But it didn't succeed. It put him very far behind. You could even see in Moon's item builds, very far behind Svenskeren now, but also went for a Knight's Vow, second item. So trying to keep high a little bit safer. And they also have another Knight's Vow here from Elimination, so they're just double Knight's Vow trying to keep their carries safe.
I mean, they've got 2 good carries, but they're going to need to scale a little further. TSM, in the meantime, are pressuring top and bot with the super minions doing the work for them in the mid lane. So 3-lane pressure effectively here for TSM, and turrets should start to fall even faster. Baron buff has dropped off, but that's the end of the good news currently for FlyQuest.
Yeah, some more bad news for them is that Hanser in the top lane, 11 out of those 13 kills he's been a part of, Gargoyle, Stoneplate, Titanic Hydra. I feel like nobody can really 1v1 Hanser right now because he's 2 levels up over balls, 1 up over high. Yeah, he's just so far ahead. He's at that point, that threshold where you're just fighting a tank. You're like, why is he doing more damage to me than I'm doing to him in like every trade? So Hanser in a very good spot to kind of just, do Shen things and just keep pushing the lane.
And the answer may be pull more people to that top lane. Hanser has that clearing out that vision, though, as you can see, approaching 7,000 gold for that Baron power play. That has to be one of the biggest of the split.
Yeah, there's been some pretty heavy ones,
There have been some pretty ridiculous Baron plays already. But not a bad one, certainly. I think TSM will be happy with that number. I'll also be happy that 3 items pretty much everywhere. You mentioned the tanks already in that top side for Hanser, and in some ways Svenskeren. 3 items also on the carries, which means that FlyQuest and all of their champions are feeling fairly under threat.
Yeah, and Doublelift already has boots, has 3 items, and now he's working towards another one there, some lifesteal for himself. But yeah, all the carries are just ready to go, and all the tanks too. So TSM pretty much in the driver's seat. They have a Tristana with 2 Mountain Drakes. These turrets should be like butter.
And they've got enough time as well with the supers in mid lane, so it's time to see it once more. Again, damage coming out high. Needs a few more autos. Oh, there's the stun, but a good eat from Lemon. Devours high up and keeps him safe, but even that might just be enough poke for TSM to keep sieging and just knock down that one of these inhibitor turrets. As soon as one falls, it feels like the game's just going to break completely open. Doublelift, all that free time. Feels good for the Triss. Oh, a lifesteal here as well. Trapped in there, but who's trapped in with who? Doublelift on a killing field, take down Lemon Moon. Low does go down to Sven. Turret's gonna fall. Doublelift hop, skip, and a jump over for the reset. Says Turtle, going down. Another jump for Doublelift, another jump for Doublelift, and high. He's gonna get chased all the way into the fountain.
And the only surviving member now from FlyQuest, TSM are gonna take game 1.
All right, Nexus turret's under siege. Doublelift smelling blood. Once the ace is high, retreats to his fountain to try and defend, but the Nexus will be left exposed and open as they're looking to try and dive it in. TSM, they'll give it up. High will stay alive, but the Nexus will not. Shut down there at the end. Doublelift goes down, but TSM take game 1.
TSM able to play the style a little bit better than FlyQuest there. The Jarvan pick did not work out. 2-6-2 for Moon at the end of the game there. He went for those early ganks. It put him a bit behind. It didn't work out. It was the gambit that they took. And if that ends up working, it's a completely different game. But they took that risk. The risk didn't pay off against TSM. And now FlyQuest, the struggle for them is, the standard didn't work for them. The oddball pick didn't really work for them here. And they got to find a way to take down TSM, who, like I said, is looking like one of the stronger teams right now, even though their record shows that they're 4-2. They've only lost to those top teams.
I mean, they're TSM. Like, really? Are you going to doubt that TSM aren't going to be good at least by the time the split ends?
I feel like you can't say they're TSM as an analytical statement.
I mean, they've been every final, so that's pretty good as far as their pedigree goes. So we're actually going to break down the game here again, looking at that team comp. I liked a lot of the elements of both drafts, actually. I think TSM picked smartly to try and counter a lot of expected things from FlyQuest. I mean, Syndra is such a robust mid laner, particularly for Bjergsen. But FlyQuest also, I like what they did. For me, it just really comes down more to execution. I feel like FlyQuest just throw themselves at the enemy team sometime, and team's like, okay, I'll just
yeah, because the Jarvan could have worked out, and we saw the combo come online, but it didn't have enough damage behind it because of the top lane. But there's a few fights in there where you're going, okay, FlyQuest looked like they could have a numbers advantage here, or they could actually just win this fight. Like the one that happened where Wild Turtle just gets pulled up to the top side and doesn't do any damage in it. And then the one that happened in the river as well was very important.
And that's this replay, so watch how this happens. Bjergsen looks like a bad time to start things off.
Yeah, this ends up being a 4v5 in favor of FlyQuest because they pick off Bjergsen, but then it's just a split fight here. So Wild Turtle and Balls are off on the side, and then it just gets picked up. And now I like how Biofrost and Senscarian are positioning themselves around the corner, and Biofrost's ultimate cuts off both Turtle and Balls from doing anything here, whereas Doublelift just keeps putting out DPS, doesn't have to flash or heal at the beginning of that fight when the equalizer comes down, and then they rout them, and then they pick up the kills. So yeah, this is just a well-played fight here from TSM, but at the same time, it was one that FlyQuest ends up not having the right positioning in. And I like there at the end, Biofrost, he's about to die to the last shot of Jhin, puts up his shield, make sure he doesn't die with the Unbreakable there.
I mean, in general, across the board, really solid performance there for TSM, just kind of playing every turn correctly. That fight went heavily in their favor, and the game really snowballed out of control from there. If you have a look at that goal graph, just that's the hill that TSM sped up very quickly, and FlyQuest just started tumbling down it.
Yeah, it was a very fast game as well. 30 minutes for themselves, and Doublelift you saw with 24,000 damage there in that game, more than pretty much everybody on his team. So I feel like he kind of went unnoticed in this game because there was just so much poking back and forth. But there's a lot of players that stood out in this game to me. It was especially like Hanser with his ultimate, Svenskeren with the playmaking, and Bjergsen also with the way he was avoiding Moon in the early game and playing around and avoiding that pressure.
I mean, we saw Moon on screen. We have to talk about that Jarvan jungle once again. I mean, scoreline not impressive. The pick itself has been very good, particularly in the top lane. But you said yourself, it has also been seeing some attention in Soul. I mean, I think this can work. I don't know if it's necessarily the pick that was bad here or if the execution was just a little off as a team effort for FlyQuest.
Yeah, well, if you think about the level 1, they got more information on TSM's side where they warded the blue and they warded the Raptors, which means that you're not getting that level 2 gank off without them knowing what side of the map you're on, most likely for that level 2. Because you start the blue side, they're going to see you there. You start the red, and you get caught by that Raptor ward on the way out. So Bjergsen's able to choose which side of the lane he wants. So it's a team effort there to avoid that gank in the early game, and the Braum pick helped them put themselves in the jungle.
Yeah, it feels like great preparation, paying dividends there for TSM. Well, we're taking a quick break, but before we go to commercial, let's send it over to this week's episode of This or That with Kobe and Jad.
Hello and welcome to another episode of This or That with Kobe and Jat.
Which episode is it?
72.
All right.
We have never counted the number of episodes.
I just thought of that because every dive, you say exactly which episode it is.
It is.
Because we started it so recently.
This or That is timeless. It goes on forever. We have never seen these slides before. We have 5 of them
No
today.
rules, no rules. Let's go.
Those aren't rules. Let's get into the first slide. We said we're never talking about the rules again. Better LCS debut. Mike Young, contracts.
So contracts, I remember this
Yeah?
one pretty clearly. And he was actually going up. People were like, he's the best jungler in the world.
Yeah.
People were already comparing him to, oh yeah, SKT wants to pick him up.
Yeah, this is actually super interesting because Mike Young, or as I like to call him, Rookie of the Split Mike Young.
Yes.
Actually
the
had
only
a
rookie
good
of the
first
split.
week, but he didn't win a match. And the team protected
He did
him
win
a
a
lot
game, though.
with their jungle strats. And he went off in some of those games. But contracts, I don't actually think his rookie split was amazing, even though he did win Rookie of the Split. But his first week was awesome.
I was going to say, debut, do you mean the games of the first day, or do you mean the entire...
He started off his LCS career by 2-0ing TSM, I think.
Exactly.
So it's contracts.
That's why I was going with debut of your first weekend or whatever.
Yeah. Pretty excited for Mike Young, though, and I think contracts is still getting better.
Yeah,
So both
I like
guys
this one. Mike Young definitely shows promise.
Slide number 2 for This or That. Who will win, Immortals or COG? This is our Friday night matchup.
Perfect. We get a discussion one. This is actually really hype because not only is it battle for first place, this is battle of who won the trade. And people have been having so much discussion just on the junglers. They're like, oh yeah, Smithy, nice guy, shot calling. He's helping out with the mentality of the team. You know, his direction for the late game is so much better. And Dardoch is all plays, but that has not been the case.
No.
Smithy has been huge in the plays, the early ganks, his Baron steal as well. So I really even just like that dynamic.
Not only that, Pobelter and Huhi also was a double starter on COG, so there's so much story in this matchup. With with that being said, even though I think Immortals is a little underrated with the way Flame and Ole and Cody Sun have been playing, I'm still on the COG hype train for this split because I think Darshan is back to that level where he was one of the best top laners in NA. I think Aphromoo is recommitted, and I think there is still more talent on that team, so I'm going to go with CLG for this Friday.
Exactly. And now I feel like the more surprising wins have been coming from Immortals, but I still have to give it to CLG.
CLG's games have been super close, too. So much of this is on almost historic brand value with the roster. Like, Immortals has won so many games, but it's a totally different roster than was winning in 2016.
Yeah. Also, I feel like it's been a little bit more recent for Immortals as far as the improvements that I'm seeing. But that being said, I'm actually super hyped for the bottom lane as well, even though those aren't star players.
Still that.
Two of the best bottom lanes that we have in the entire league.
Yeah, we said a lot of nice things about Immortals. Just picked them to lose. We're both COG, going to be a super hype matchup. Keep it rolling. Slide number 3. This or that, Door and Shield nerfs, LCS meta altering, yes or no? So the nerfs was you can no longer get 2 health potions, but you now get
It's literally 50 gold, yeah.
Meta altering.
I don't think so.
I like that we like Door and Shield.
I don't think it's a meta altering shift. I mean, Door and Shield, like you're saying, you still like it because
we essentially
it's still
credited
usable.
Door and Shield with being able to play supports like Blitzcrank and Thresh because you wouldn't get poked out by Karma. Karma's nerf, people used to play in those. I think you still go Door and Shield if you want, and the playmaking supports are still in. So I'd say the nerfs are not meta altering.
So, and to an effect, right? I do think playmaking supports are here to stay, and I don't think they will be affected. I do think that some AD carries are going to stop buying the shield, which is actually what I wanted. So I think it's the best of both worlds. I wouldn't call that a meta-altering change, though. Yeah. It's a little bit smaller than that, so I will go no.
I like the color coding of this or that with yes and no as well.
And I like they changed it from thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yeah, they're the non-anatomical thumb from last week. I forget how it was supposed to be something.
We rarely, credit the producers, but
more underrated pre-summer split. So before the split, who was more underrated?
Another Immortals
or
CLG one.
It's a hype matchup, Kobe. You must do multiple slides on it.
Honestly,
even the colors of the logos are the same.
Honestly, I feel like Darshan received more hate. So I don't know about more underrated compared to their performance that they're having now. But I felt like Darshan was receiving more hate than Pobelter was. So that's why I'm going to say Darshan was more underrated. He did have, these MSI performances where he was playing really well in tanks and doing a lot for a team. Yeah. It was a long time ago, but it's been a while since people were super excited about his Fiora or something like that, split push and carrying like that.
This dude, though, lost lane to Piglet last year. And then people were saying, and he's been playing actually really well. So as much as I think Darshan is back to that level, I don't know if the public perception of Darshan shifted down as much for him as it did for Pobelter. So
what are they calling him, koala?
Right now, Darshan is a koala. I'm going to go with this for this one.
All right, we split then.
Yeah, perfect.
I'm still with Darshan.
Slide number 5, final slide. What we got? Better hooker. Word choice. Questionable.
Weird choice, but I like the slide because so many teams, we've been seeing even Blitzcrank into Thresh so often. I always cite as my reason for favoring Thresh, his versatility. Obviously, the Lantern, you can play defensively, you can save people. There are a lot more creative plays. But obviously, the speed of Blitzcrank, as well as the silence from his ultimate is super underrated, which makes this a lot closer than just obviously he can hook and he can Lantern. Blitzcrank offensively definitely has a bit more punch, but I still just love Thresh.
Yeah, I'm going to take this question a little bit differently and talk about just the hooks. I think Thresh is a more useful champion, but
even just looking at the hooks,
Rocket Grab is better than Death Sentence, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay, that's why I thought you were saying the. Okay, we're good then. We took it different questions.
Perfect. I'm going to go with this. Kobe's going to go with that. As usual.
Also, this is literally a hook. Ha! I win.
We're done.
We're done.
That was the last slide. I have nothing else to say to this man.